And I'm Jeff, and you're on the VIP Home podcast. Welcome, Betsy. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
I am a professional home organizer, specifically in Chicago. I run the downtown franchise of Neat Method.
Neat Method.
Yeah, Neat Method. I just think we excel at creating a system in your house for any existing space. We're full service. We organize, give you a system. We go out and buy organizational solutions, make it look good, and leave you with an organized home. It's so nice.
Which is amazing.
Good design should look good and function well. So everything we touch, we want it to streamline your routine, but also look like it belongs in your house.
Part of our app, we have a few different features of it, but we have a pillar of organization, and it's a totally different feature. It's really taking that paperwork or paint chip colors and uploading it into one part of the app. So organization, but in a totally different sense. So when we were looking for different episodes for the podcast, we felt like having a home organizer, somebody to really clean up the physical part of the home, and then, would sort of tie back into what we're looking to do as well.
Yeah. How'd you get started? How did this, were you always an organized person, I imagine, and this was just a natural thing to get into?
I always say I've been professionally organizing for 5 years, but I've been organizing my whole life. Just didn't know it was a job until I moved to Chicago. I was an actor and looking for more stable work than I was getting.
You've been doing it for 5 years.
Yes. I organized on the team for 4 years, and then a year ago took over as the franchise owner. So now I'm running the business, but also still lead some projects throughout the week.
So what does a typical project look like?
It's usually one space a day. I'd say we get the most requests, at least in my market, for kitchens and master closets.
I need you for my closet.
People need extra help trying to figure out how to make small spaces work. So mostly a typical day is us pulling everything out of that space, organizing it, going over some questions with the homeowner, and then we go out and get products that we need to make it then work and fit in the space.
That's really amazing.
It's pretty fun.
I need that in my kitchen for sure. So what do I do with all the pots and pans that are just like spilling out, and like my Tupperware is like, I have like a lazy Susan, and we just shove the Tupperware in there
thing.
And it's terrible. Yeah. Like, what is the solution? Help me out here. What do I do?
Buy new Tupperware.
Yes. I was going to say pots and pans are tricky. First of all, if you have the space for a lid organizer, that helps. One less thing to have to like rustle through when you're in the middle of cooking pasta for your screaming 3-year-old or something. That was a memory from my nanny days. You need that space to be efficient. But otherwise, truly, if you really just are at capacity, that's a good sign of like, okay, let me pull out all my pots. Which ones, do I not need anymore? Could I donate those? Or do I only use this one for my Thanksgiving dinner? Then if that's the case, it doesn't need to be stored right where you're making dinner every single day. So we also help homeowners like edit some of their things if they're at capacity. We can make some magic work with the right product, but we can't make things disappear and fit always.
Why not?
So we do have to have some editing. I know. But Tupperware, I get that a lot. My tip for that is just to keep the lids together, and then you can nest like all the similar sizes of Tupperware so they all fit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I also keep my cast iron pan on my stove, like on the vent on the back, because I use it all the time, and it's so heavy that if I'm like yanking it and I don't have enough storage as it is in my pots and pans, I guess I just need
the
less
gym is
pots
calling.
And pans.
Jeff, go to the gym.
Oh, all right. I can do that. I walked into Williams-Sonoma and I noticed that when they were putting their stuff on display and they were like stacking them, they flipped the lids on the pots over.
Yeah.
And so, so that, like, I know it took me 35 years to figure that one out.
Well, okay. So I only really know that I just had my bridal shower, and we got a lot of like the La Crusette ovenware stuff, and we needed more space, but I wanted them all displayed because they're beautiful. So I flipped the lids, and then you could really stack two on top.
Just gotta flip it.
As opposed to just one. So
right.
what's the hardest room for you to organize?
Me, me, it's a master bathroom. I just don't like them
so personal.
I can do them, but typically they're small. There's not a lot of space. There's a lot of challenges with like hairspray bottles are typically tall, and in the city there's usually not much space to work with.
Yeah.
And people just need that space they need every space to function well, but I'd say that one specifically people forget about, and they're using it multiple times throughout the day to get ready. So it is an essential area in the house that I think gets overlooked because people think, oh, my kitchen needs to be organized, my master closet. And like, I agree, but also, can you get ready in the morning, or are you like, do you struggle figuring out where is X, Y, and Z? I want to curl my hair today. Now it's all tangled. Then you're eating up time in the morning. So
yeah,
master bathrooms are not my favorite, but that's just a personal preference.
I feel like linen closets would be really hard.
Oh, I love them.
Oh,
love them.
That's like
mine's available.
Yeah. It's very zen. You got to organize everything.
I have a girl on my team who just excels. She loves bathrooms. She can do them so fast. So that's nice when we can put each other in our strengths and really watch each other excel in that. So, yeah.
Do you normally do, like for a project, is it normally one room or a few rooms? And how is that tackled? Like you said, one per day, but does a bathroom typically take a day, or?
That's usually about a half day, but it totally depends on the quantity of items. So for one person, like if it's just a single person, truly it could be like 2 or 3 hours. Or, if they have a makeup collection and, have a lot of editing to do, that might be a longer project. So that's not a great answer, but that is the truth, where it depends on the quantity of items in a space.
We have something on our podcast that we've been calling Homeowner Horror Stories. Yeah. I'm sure in your experience, without like naming names, what was like the worst? We've all seen like hoarders, so I don't want to go like.
My brother moved into a hoarder's house, and it was like the worst nightmare ever.
Oh God!
But we just have to throw everything out. So.
Yeah, is that how it happens? And tell me about like the worst. What's your homeowner horror story for us? You got one, right? Were all your clients like pretty neat and they just like need a little bit of help?
We're definitely all human. That's been humbling to see across the board. Everyone could use some organization in their life, even yours truly. There's been a few horror stories, but I'm trying to say it without. I'm aware I'm working in people's homes, but because it's a very personal job. We're in people's private spaces, and I would say the few things that come to mind are when, there's a marital fight happening and we are right there like organizing, and it's a little uncomfortable to be like, okay, we're not a part of this conversation, but we are contracted to finish out this space. We've done a few storage units where stuff has been sitting there for 10 years. And so you find like mouse droppings and some questionable feces that might be there. And then we have to throw those things out. And the homeowner, is embarrassed, and it's not their fault. It's just their stuff has been collecting dust. But that's pretty rare. I'd say, we have great clients that work with us. They get so excited by just feeling a sense of control again and feeling more order, that it is kind of rare now that I've done it for, a few years. I'm like, I don't have as many, I don't have bad days as often anymore, because you just learn to manage it.
So once you guys come, do you have tips on how the homeowner can remain organized, or do you guys come back?
I would say for my more type A clients, we don't have to come back for them. They love staying on top of the system. Labels are a game changer. We label almost to an annoying extent, because labels are the way to communicate with everyone else living in the household. Not even living, just working. Yeah. If you have a nanny, if you have a mother-in-law that stays with you 3 months out of the year, they don't know that you have done all this work, or if you've invested in us to do it for you. So labels are my big tip there. Okay. But in terms of maintenance, If you're more of like a messy person, which, I have some clients that are like, hey, I'm super messy. I don't understand like how you create a system, but I really want to try this. And then we will go back, and it's nice to go, okay, they get it. Even if their stuff isn't file folded perfectly and beautifully, like at least their t-shirts are in a bin labeled t-shirts that we've created for them. So there is hope.
Always hope. There's always hope.
Yeah.
That's true. I learned a little tip when I put my t-shirts in my dresser.
Yeah.
Instead of like stacking them up, like.
Oh, to do it this way.
Yeah, you do it that way.
It's like they're
and you get to store more there, and you can see.
Do you do your own laundry?
I think I told you that I no longer am allowed to do laundry.
I haven't. He's not allowed to do a lot of things.
Here's the trick. Here's a little tip for the guys out there. If you don't want to do laundry, break the washing machine.
What?
And
No.
then you're never allowed to do laundry.
Okay, so all I really know
again.
is you're not allowed to buy or look for houses. There was something the other week.
Well, let me
and now he broke the laundry machine.
So yeah, I didn't want to do laundry.
And he set his kitchen on fire.
Well, that was another episode. Let's stay here. So I put, one of the big comforters, in there, and I didn't put just the comforter in there. I was trying to like get the most for my buck, so I, put some other laundry in there. I may have just filled it up too much, and then, it was an older style, and it just like kaput, and that was it. And so no longer allowed to do that.
Okay, so maybe you don't do your own laundry, but you put your own clothes away.
So we have, my wife and I joke, so it's called 7 to 10 business days, which is the room that we throw all the laundry once it's clean and just sits there for 7 to 10 business days until eventually we're like, where are all our clothes? And then we're like, in that room. So then we have to go in there and actually fold it. But I like to fold. I feel like
Jeff, that's your sister.
she does the laundry and then she throws it into the second bedroom on the futon, and I go in there on the day bed.
I do all of the laundry and I put it away because that would drive me insane. The 7 to 10 business days, I think I'd jump out of the building.
It doesn't make any sense at all. Like, you have it all clean and it's not going to be wrinkled if you fold it there, but then if you throw it on a bed in a big ball, then it's just like, it's all wrinkled. It's a terrible way to do it.
I fold my fiance's clothes and we do it that way too. And he would like go in the middle of the night and like change it back to like vertical. And it was like, oh my God, you're insane. Okay. So now I just don't put his clothes away anymore.
So it's all about habits and routines, right?
Yeah.
Like if you don't get in the habit of doing it, it's like, it's not going to get done.
And I also think people tend to forget that organization is like a living, breathing thing. So it does require some evolution, right? Like when you have a baby, your pantry needs now a whole different category than when you were single or married or just married. I just think, we all are walking through different seasons of life. And so typically we get calls, I've noticed, when someone has either walked into a new period of their life, getting a new kid or having a new kid, just got married, or are coming out of one where they're like, we just got divorced, we're moving to a new home, we're downsizing, we're upsizing, if that's a word now. I do feel like people tend to think this is a stationary thing, but change is happening all the time. So keeping up with it is also just acknowledging what is now different and how can this system work for me now.
I have a closet in my basement that like, it's like one of those things, like you open it and things like fall. Closet? They fall on you because it's like just stuffed with just everything. Like we don't have much storage. So this one closet gets everything. Okay. What do I do to fix that? How do I fix that? Do I just like throw it all out? Like, is there like a rule? Like if you don't use it within a year, like donate it to Goodwill?
I would say, first of all, start small. Okay. So if it is a small closet, then it's realistic. You could do that in a day. But pull everything out. That's when people don't even realize, oh my gosh, my Halloween costume from college has been sitting back there. I don't need it. Or is that a precious keepsake? Then put it with your keepsakes. But just to, first of all, inventory, like what is there, is going to help you make those decisions. And it helps break down the process so it's not so overwhelming, because everyone's overwhelmed when they open a door and the Monica closet is there in front of them. Like, no one likes that. And so the way to tackle that is to, first of all, rip the Band-Aid off, pull it all out, see what you have, and then make those decisions of, okay, is this a donate? Is this something that we no longer use? Can give it to someone who is in need of it? Or if it's even nice to go, hey, we want all of this, but now it's super organized and labeled. And when you need that item in the future, you know exactly where it is.
So we have an app, and our app has home inventory kind of built into it. So if you're an insurance company, you want to know that
in case of a fire, like what pieces of things these people had.
Exactly. So, doing an inventory, I guess you're saying, is like the first step in getting organized. Like, know what you have in your house.
Exactly.
Pull it out, make a spreadsheet, and figure out what is going to Goodwill. I mean, was I correct in saying if you haven't used it in like 4 years, it's probably
you
something?
You said 1 year last time for starters.
Yes.
All right, so what is it? Is it a year? Is it 365 days? Or is it longer?
I am personally thinking of 2 separate clients that I have where they need a 6-month rule and my other client needs a year. One of them is slower to making decisions, and like she would tell me this, so I'm not breaching her confidentiality. It's all about knowing yourself. Like, yes, I'm more on the 6 month. If I haven't used it in 6 months, I'm never going to use it again, but I'm pretty minimal. And so I know like what I need right now, and I don't like a lot of excess. But some of our families, I'm thinking of families with kids in very separate age groups. So while the oldest kid is no longer using the sports equipment, but they know like, well, what if, Johnny, who's 3, like wants to get into hockey, we need to keep that stuff. I think that is fine, but there's an intention behind it, and that choice has been made rather than just, we're going to put it all in the closet and then 10 years from now go through it. That's when it's so overwhelming. It's harder to start after all of that time has gone by rather than just those few like 10 minutes of let me just look through this and deal with it now. You're really helping your future self, I think.
I have so many clothes, but I also have an extremely large closet. So for right now, nothing's changing. But my fiance is always like, you buy like 6 of the same things. Like, can you get rid of like, past ones? I'm like, no, there's so much room here. Like, why would I get rid of it? So that's probably not the right way to think about it, but it's my way of thinking about it.
Well, it's personal, right?
And maybe you do wear all of those clothes. Like, I do think it's up to, that's where the customization comes in, where it's like, if you value your clothes and you are wearing a bunch of outfits, then go for it. Keep those clothes. But if you're like, I pretty much stick with the same, like 10 outfits, then no, the rest you should say goodbye to.
Yeah, I mean, they're both sort of true. Like, I really try not to repeat outfits, which is why the 6 months rule doesn't really work. But there's definitely times that I'm like, in the winter, especially like with sweaters, but.
Do you guys do that where you have like the winter clothes and they're all in like bins in the attic and then like you pull them out and like you do like a swap or is it like all your stuff's in one closet?
Mine does fit all in one, but I'm sure like.
I have a smaller closet, clearly. But I still have like, I still have shirts from high school.
Okay,
like,
see, that's the problem.
That is a problem.
But also, like, I stole the closet. Like, my fiance's closet is in our den. So, like, I think if I were to split it, this would be a different conversation. But he was very nice and said, well, he didn't really have a say. But he was nice enough to not have a say.
I think I'm going to just simplify things and I'm going to give everything away and I'm going to start fresh and I'm only going to wear blue things. I don't have to like think about it. I just wear like blue, and I'll just, that's not blue, but it would be in my future self.
It's like not blue.
It's like the Steve Jobs kind of thing where you're
I was going to say, that's
all
Steve
black.
Jobs approach, yeah.
I have a friend who does it. Like he's a photographer. He wears all black because, when you're on set, like you want to be wearing black. So he only wears black clothes. And it's like, I guess it simplifies your life because you don't have to think about what you need to put on every day.
What are your thoughts on the Marie Kondo method?
Who's Marie Kondo?
So she's like the Netflix sensation that she like goes in and that's where the like vertical folding I think came from. Maybe not originally, but she just like made it really public.
She made it widely popular with the Netflix series. So I love that. Any conversation about organization that gets started helps all of us organizers, whether you're with me method or not. So I love her for that.
Like she was like, if it doesn't bring you joy, throw it out. And I was like, that's
exactly,
so...
if it doesn't spark joy.
That's it. If it doesn't spark joy.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And I would say, realistically, I don't have time. Like, people aren't going to pay me to have them touch every single item in their house. Yeah. But it is a great principle, especially if you are like, I just want to organize myself. I just need more tips. I think that's a great theory to follow. Mm-hmm. But she's great. She's been on the forefront of organizing, and has just made the idea of organizing a lot more attainable to people. So I'm very grateful for her.
Any like tech or products that you would like share that we should be implementing more regularly?
The most universal product, again, is labels. I think I just go back to, if you don't have great handwriting, get a label maker. They're like $30. And you can label drawers, you can label so much to just communicate that system, because I see a lot of it, like, I'm super organized and my husband is getting there. And so if I have a system in place, but I haven't communicated it to him, it's not fair for me to then expect him to follow it if he doesn't know, like, this is where I put my receipts when I'm done with a job, and X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. Those stackable plastic bins at the Container Store, I love. They come in a variety of sizes, so they fit truly like every category in your life, and they're so versatile. But the easiest one to tell people is labels.
The Container Store. Can we all just agree that that's like the best store in the world?
It really is.
I go in there just for like therapy. I don't buy anything.
Second home.
Yeah. We moved just about a year ago into this new apartment, and the space was much bigger than our previous one. And I like went to town at the Container Store. Just everything was Container Stored. It was the best.
I did the same thing, and like came home, and my wife was like, take half of that stuff back. You don't need like whatever the kitchen, I
needed everything. It all. I felt that I needed it all.
But that goes back to like less is more, right? Because
never.
Yeah.
Less is more. No, because if you have less, it's less cluttered, right? You have, just less.
It's easier to maintain, to your earlier point, when you're like, wait, but this is so much to maintain. Well, when there's less to keep up with. So I really think everyone could live with less, but that's probably my own personal philosophy.
Once you're putting something in a corner because there's no space for it, it has to go.
Yeah.
And that's how and that's just how I live. So like I would never say I'm a minimalist by any means, but as soon as it like doesn't have a spot, it is no longer allowed.
And also,
my dog, but
I mean, that's a really good point, because when things get out of hand, like you come home and you're like, a bomb went off. Like, what happened here? I basically try to put everything away in its original place before I exit a room for the day. Because if I don't do that, it just like it accumulates, and then it looks like,
like your spare
a bomb went
bedroom.
off. Yeah, exactly. But if you're like constantly on it and you're constantly putting things back to their original position, because like think about it, the cleaning people come, everything's clean, everything's perfect. That's like the stasis. That's like the original place. And then as you live, things get moved around. But like before you go to bed at night, like make sure that everything is put back to its original place on a daily basis. If you do that, it's a lot easier to, I think, to keep up.
I do it in the morning, and I clean up after my fiance all the time. But that's okay. I'm cool that he's just doesn't care as much as I do. So it like is nice to come home to a nice clean apartment. So I really don't mind doing it. But that's how I live too.
I've noticed it with myself, even as I got busier this past year with the business, like it took away more time for me to like be picking up and maintaining my own space. And so now I set a timer, and I'm like, okay, I have 10 minutes to pick up and like put stuff back. So if that relates to anyone else, where it's like, if you don't have a full Saturday to like clean up your entire house, take 10 minutes each day, because that's really attainable.
Yeah.
And then that makes a difference when Saturday does roll around, or that's my day, which is why I keep coming back to that. But
so 10 minutes, I was just saying, is attainable everywhere except on a treadmill. Just the worst. Longest 10 minutes.
10 minutes? Oh, God, no.
It's like maybe 2.5 that I can last.
I do go on a consult beforehand. It is really, really valuable for me to see the home as is, or the apartment. It really gives me good clues as to what's not working, and just to see how people are living in their home. I pick up a lot just from that initial visit, and also it's great for me to meet in person. That is so valuable in this day and age. I sound like a grandma, but it's true, just to get that real face-to-face time. And then hear them of like, what is frustrating them? Are they someone who overbuys groceries all the time and there's a ton of expired stuff because they just are going to Costco and shoving their pantry full because they can't see their food? Do they have a bunch of kids and they're like, gosh, it's just out of control. We went from 0 to now 3 kids, and we've just like lost sight of any order. There's so many different scenarios there. But then after the consult, I write up an estimate for the spaces that I looked at, and then the client will decide if they want to move forward on all of them, or just one space at a time. We have all kinds of scenarios. So then when the actual project books, yes, I bring in a team and we do it all in a day. Neat Method is full service. We buy all the product, we implement it. Some organizers will work with what you have. It totally depends on your budget, really. We take more of the design approach. We're not interior designers, but we do value quality products that look good, that look like they belong in your home. So that's also part of the consult, is just kind of picking up on those home aesthetics and the client preferences. Do they need open bins, or do they need really like detailed categories because they're super type A and really function well with that? Are they messy and need pretty vague categories? Those are things we all consider, because everyone's different and everyone needs a system, but those systems look differently based on how you live your life. We charge hourly. So that initial consult, I'm taking photos and measurements and looking really at the quantity of items in the space that we're going to be working in, and then write up a proposal, including our hourly estimate for that job. I just really stress a good system. I thought I was organized before I worked at this job 5 years ago. And I mean, it's laughable how I look back. I was like, oh, I thought I was organized, but I kept redoing the same space. Like Marie Kondo talks about that. And I was like, oh, it's because I never did a system. So even if it's like, start small, start with your junk drawer. Pull everything out, get some drawer dividers for the items that you really find yourself needing every day. That is going to give you some momentum to tackle the next drawer, the next cabinet, or the next room. So I think that's I hope the most helpful tip is start small and see where that takes you.
Amazing. I'm going to go home and do that tonight with some wine.
Yeah, start small.
Cool.
All right. Well, Betsy, thank you so much for joining us and telling us all about the Neat Method. We hope to have you on again soon.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for having me. Great to speak
with you. Of course.
Have a great day.
Bye.
You too. Bye.
And we're out of here.
It was